Hello everybody, my name is Punarvas Jaikumar. I am a chartered accountant, passionate trainer. I have trained over 15,000 CA students in a career spanning of over 10 years. I am extremely excited and fortunate to be partnering with an academy for CA Foundation, and I'll be handling business laws and BCR paper. So my dear friends, if you want any sort of updates, anything for that matter, I would strongly suggest you right now go and download the Unacademy app. Just go to Play Store, just type Unacademy and you will get Unacademy learning app and you can just install the same. And if you want any kind of updates, notes, tips, audio tips, video tips, etc., please join my exclusive Unacademy Law channel. It's called PJ Law. Go to t.me/PJ Law and it'll take you right to my channel and you can enjoy important notes, audio clips, video clips, etc. And guys, we also have our exclusive CA Foundation English channel where all the educators and learners come together. This is exclusive English channel, so please join our Telegram channel CA Foundation English as well. My dear friends, an exciting announcement. We have already started the CA Warrior batch. This is a fast track batch for CA Foundation December 21 examination. It is going to be exclusively in English. We have already started. Paper 2 will be handled by me, Punarvas Jaikumar, and the quant portion will be handled by my very good friend and a co-educator, CA Neeraj Mahajan sir. You're gonna love his classes. So we will cover very all important topics, and in law we'll cover everything exhaustively, and BCR will do a quick revision. PDF notes will be shared. So as far as law is concerned, it's gonna be from August 18 to maybe, since now exam has been postponed to December, we'll also have it in the October first week or something. And exhaustive analysis of paper number 2. Live classes, guys. It's not recorded. Live classes. There will be quizzes, there will be doubt solving sessions, and unlimited access. You can watch it anytime, anywhere apart from live. I will also discuss the presentation techniques. I'll also give you revision notes, Q&A notes, and specially curated handcrafted color charts for one day before the exam revision. It is going to be almost 60 plus hours. Sir, I also want to check some demo classes if you feel like that. Guys, these classes are on Unacademy Plus. So unless you have a subscription of Unacademy Plus or Unacademy Iconic, you cannot access these classes. Alright. However, if you want some other revision classes, free classes, if you want free sessions, please download the Unacademy app. Go to the special classes section. Get access to our free special classes by various amazing educators, and you will also earn credits while you watch them. So please check out the free special classes option. On that note, my dear friends, let us begin today's session. So guys, today let me take you through a quick revision of the Indian Contract Act. It's a revision session now. So 10-15 minutes, very quick revision of the Indian Contract Act, whatever we have discussed till now, we'll go ahead. First one, what is an Indian Contract Act definition? First of all, contract is an agreement enforceable by law. I will be using the charts so that the revision will be very quick. So what is this Indian Contract Act definition? Contract is an agreement which is enforceable by law. So all agreements need not be contracts, but all contracts essentially are agreements, because what is an agreement, my dear friends? If I go here, every promise or a set of promises forming the consideration for each other is called as an agreement. So for agreement is nothing but RPC, reciprocal promises forming the consideration for each other. Then what is a promise? Promise is a proposal. When accepted becomes a promise. So promise is nothing but offer plus acceptance. So offer plus acceptance becomes a promise, my dear friends. What do you mean by reciprocal promises? So one person's promise is the other person's consideration. If I go to a restaurant and give him 10 rupees for a cup of coffee, my promise is to pay a correct legal tender, that is note, and his promise is to give me coffee. And what is my consideration? Coffee. And what is his consideration? The 10 rupee note. So guys, my promise is his consideration, his promise is my consideration. So promises which form the consideration or part of each other is called as reciprocal promises. This is what we have seen in the definitions. Then we discussed the types of contract, my dear friends. We had valid contract, voidable. Now void is of two types, void agreement and void contract. Before that, what is valid? All essential elements of a contract are there. all essential elements of the contract are present. What are the essential elements? We have discussed each and everything in depth. Agreement between two parties, consensus ad idem means both of them should agree on the same thing in the same sense. Intention to create legal relationship. There has to be intention to create a legal relationship. There is no domestic and social nature as such. Then consent of the parties must be free and genuine. There cannot be any other consent otherwise. Then parties should be competent to enter into a contract first of all, and there should be lawful consideration, lawful object, all that we have seen. Then it should not be expressly declared void. There are certain provisions in the Contract Act which definitely automatically make the entire contract void, so that this particular thing should not be directly void as such. Meaning of the agreement must be certain, or it must be capable of being made certain. So it should either be certain, or at least it is capable of being made certain, which means, for example, if I say I want to buy your house for a price decided by the valuer. So when I am saying that let's go and decide the price as per the valuer, the price is not fixed, but it is capable of being made certain. Then it should be capable of performance and all those things. That is basically what you call by a valid offer. What is valid contract? Then what is void? Void is of two types: void agreement and void contract. Void agreement is something which is void ab initio, which is void from the beginning. And void contract is something which initially starts off as valid, but later becomes void due to various reasons. Initially becomes valid, later becomes void due to various reasons. That is called as a void contract. First is called valid, then it is void. Void agreement, void contract. Next we have voidable. Voidable. So what is voidable? In simple line, one line, absence of free consent is called as voidable. It is enforceable at the option of one party, but not at the option of the other party. So you can enforce it at the option of one person, but I cannot enforce at the option of the other person. Basically, when there is coercion, fraud, undue influence, mistake, misrepresentation, generally the contract will become voidable. But for mistake, technically it doesn't become voidable as such. There are various factors which we have to discuss. As far as illegal is concerned, illegal is like a void agreement. It can never reach legality. Agreement to kill somebody, agreement to hit somebody, it will be called as a illegal agreement. Unenforceable contract means what? Contract is good in all respects, but it suffers from some technical defect, like the law of limitation, popularly called, I call it as law of limitation, where debtor and creditor relationship should go for around 3 years. Within 3 years, I need to recover the money, at least give a notice to recover the money. If I don't do that, then the contract will become unenforceable. It cannot be enforced in the future. Then we have express contract, implied contract. Express contract, expressly made by word spoken or written. Implied means what? Contract entered into in an implied manner, which is obviously more understood than express. So we have two types there. One is quasi and one is tacit. Tacit is contract entered into by action. That is ATM card, when you insert, when you put in the money, when the money comes out, that is tacit contract. Then striking of the hammer, gavel, striking of the hammer, that is also called as tacit contract. Quasi contract, on the other hand, is these contracts are not exactly contracts, but they resemble a contract. Hence they are called as quasi contract. So quasi contract relationship will be finder of lost goods. You should be in the position of a bailee. Then let's say you are going on the road and you stop at a parking light and somebody comes and wipes your car glass. So then he'll ask for payment. Do you have to pay? Morally, ethically, as per justice and conscience, you need to pay, because you did not ask him not to do it, right? So ideally you need to pay. And of course, when some goods belonging to somebody else is by mistake delivered to you, it is your duty to find the true owner or to contact the true owner and hand over the property to him. These are all examples, some of the examples of quasi contract. We have already discussed this way in depth, right? On Unacademy Plus, we have discussed these in very in depth in our CA Foundation Fast Track batch. So it is very in depth discussed. I am just doing a quick revision of the Indian Contract Act using the chart methodology. For this on YouTube and other things, only these things will be there. If you want full in-depth classes, of course, Plus classes is the only thing that you need to look out for. Then we have what? Executed contract, executory contract. Executed means both the sides of the promise are done. Executory means one part is done, one part is not yet done. Then in executory you have unilateral and bilateral, because one part can be from both the sides or only from one party. So unilateral contract is one-sided contract, only one party has to perform the obligations. In a bilateral contract, both parties have to perform the obligations. So if I buy a movie ticket already and movie is yet to start, then it is a unilateral contract, because I have already booked my movie ticket and they have to still do the needful. On the other hand, if I just go and place an order for some food in a restaurant, then it is a bilateral contract, because they also have to give me the food and even I have to pay at the end of the thing. However, if it is a self-service thing where I have already given the money, then it is a unilateral, because I still have to wait for the food now. That's about it. Essential valid contract done. Then what did we do, my dear friends? We did the concept of offer. Offer is what? Proposal. So offer is to either do something or not to do something. Not to do something, the other word is called abstain. So either do something or abstain from doing something is the other part of it. Modes of making the offer, rules regarding the offer, types of offer, invitation to offer, all that we have seen. So proposal or offer is signifying to one person willingness to do something or abstaining from doing something with the view to obtaining the assent of that other person. Assent means the other person should say yes. That is the thing. Assent of the other person is what we need to understand. Yes. So modes of making an offer, you can either do an act, by doing an act, word spoken or written, or by abstaining from doing an act. Abstain means not doing an act. That is how you make an offer. Rules regarding an offer, very simple, guys. There has to be creation of a legal relationship. Most important is there has to be creation of a legal relationship. It should be certain, definite and not vague. Not vague means it should not be ambiguous. Ambi means two, guity means mind. It should not be ambiguous. It must be unambiguous. Should not be ambiguous, my dear friends. It should be unambiguous. It should be certain, definite and not vague. Cannot be ambiguous. It must be unambiguous. Certain, definite and not vague. It can be either express or implied, specific or general, whatever the case may be. Communication of offer is a must. So please note that you need to communicate the offer at all times. Communication of offer is a must. Offer should be made to obtain the consent of the offeree. The other person, the offeree, should obviously, the reason why I am making the offer only is because the other person should always say yes. And offer, my dear friends, may be conditional or unconditional. So you can have some conditions, 50% off star conditions apply, or it can be unconditional. In the sense, it can be anything for that matter, no need of any conditions attached. You can directly enter into that particular contract. Which means you can say that flat 50% off for if you buy this particular brand, flat 50% off, no conditions attached, no minimum value, pick up anything, get directly 50% off. That can be one more scene. What are the types of offer? We have general offer, specific offer, cross offer, counter offer and all these things. So general offer is made to the public at large, specific offer is made only to a person or to a group of people as such. Cross offer, two people making similar kind of offer to each other in ignorance of each other's offer is called cross offer. Guys, here it's a very quick revision, because we have already done these concepts. Just quick revision, that's all there is to it, right? So if you want more in depth, you can join our plus batch, right? So counter offer, original offer is cancelled. In a counter proposal, original offer is cancelled. Acceptance has to be given to the counter proposal. And then we have something called invitation to offer. In invitation to offer, it's just an expression of initial willingness. So if I'm calling somebody for an auction, that is only to tell you that I am willing to negotiate, then I will do the bidding. When I do the bidding, it means that I am making an offer that time. So me doing the bidding is me making an offer. Very simple. Next, lapse of offer. Lapse means where the offer is cancelled. There are various types of lapse of offer, my dear friends. First is revocation and rejection. Revocation and rejection. Revocation of offer means what? Withdrawal of offer. Revocation of offer means what? Withdrawal of offer. Rejection of offer means what? Cancellation of an offer. Revocation means where I am going to withdraw the offer, revocation of offer, and rejection of offer is very simple, cancellation of the offer. Non-fulfillment of the various conditions by the acceptor, etc. is obviously called as the one of the reasons where the offer will be lapsed. Cross offer, counter offer. Counter offer is very simple. Counter offer is nothing but conditional acceptance. Guys, there is no concept called conditional acceptance. You can never accept things by putting a condition. It should always be unconditional. Means if you can make a conditional offer. Mind you, you can make a conditional offer, but the acceptance must always be unconditional. So non-fulfillment of conditions by the acceptor, revocation is withdrawal, rejection means cancellation. Acceptance should not be in prescribed mode. If the acceptance is not in prescribed mode, what happens? The offer will lapse, which means if I told you that you need to send the reply online itself, you need to give an online confirmation only, then you should do online confirmation only. Anything other than that will be void. Then we understood the concept of acceptance. What is acceptance? Consent to the offer. So when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereof, then the proposal is said to be accepted. And once a proposal is accepted, then you can say that the contract has been entered into. There are various rules with respect to the acceptance as such. Alright, so acceptance. So when the person gives the consent to the entire offer, then the person to whom the proposal is made, when he signifies his assent thereto, then proposal is said to be accepted. What are the rules of acceptance? Basically, guys, for you to know, for example, if I buy something on Flipkart and Amazon, without putting the coupon code, I don't even know coupon code exists, later can I claim that 50% off? No. Or after you buy the product, is there any way where you forgot the coupon code, then again to insert the coupon code if you forgot? No. The only possible way in Amazon is cancel the order and again place the order with the coupon code. That's I understand. But that particular order which I have already done, can you undo what you have already done? Not at all possible, my dear friends. So acceptance should emanate from an offer. It can be made only by the offeree and nobody else. It should be made before the lapse of the offer. So before the offer is lapsing, before the offer lapses, you need to make that particular thing. Then if you perform all the conditions of the offer, then it will amount to acceptance. The moment you perform all the conditions of the offer, then it will amount to acceptance. So basically, acceptance must be unconditional. You cannot keep on adding conditions for acceptance. The moment you accept all the conditions, then it will be deemed to be acceptance. As I told you, there can be no concept called conditional acceptance. The moment you add any condition to an acceptance, it would operate as a counter proposal. Acceptance should be for the exact terms and conditions of the offer. Even if you vary here and there, then acceptance will go for a toss. So acceptance should be communicated at all times. Acceptance should be as per prescribed mode, specified time. All this we have seen. Then we have seen the communication of offer. The communication of offer is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made, whereas revocation is a different concept. So let's just quickly gauge that as well today. Right. So for example, the offerer, his name was Vijay Kumar. He sent his offer on 5th August. Letter of offer reached the acceptor Gokul on 8th August. And Gokul said yes on 11th August, right? And the letter of acceptance reached the offerer on 16th August. Very, very simple. The question now before me is, when is the offer completed? As the date wise, offer is completed on 8th August. Normal English, when is it? Normal English, when is the offer complete? When offer letter reaches the acceptor. When offer letter reaches the acceptor, offer is complete. When offer letter reaches the acceptor, offer is complete. What is the legal language? Legal language is when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made. When it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made. That is regarding communication of offer. As far as acceptance is concerned, acceptor is who, my dear friends? Acceptor now is Gokul. When should Gokul accept the offer? Now, Gokul has accepted the offer on 11th. It has reached Vijay Kumar on 16th. So, from the point of view of Gokul, when is it complete? From the point of view of Vijay Kumar, when is it complete is the next point of discussion, my dear friends. So, if you see, acceptance completed as against Vijay Kumar, who is the offerer, as against Gokul, who is the acceptor, when? So guys, the Contract Act actually says that Gokul, only if he says yes, that is not enough. Gokul has to ensure that Vijay Kumar receives that particular letter. So from Gokul's point of view, my dear friends, from Gokul's point of view, it is 16th is what you need to see. From Gokul's point of view, it should be 16th, right? From Gokul's point of view, it must be 16th. And from Vijay Kumar's point of view, for him, he has already made the offer. When Gokul says yes, it is deemed to be yes for him. When Gokul says yes, it is yes for him only. That letter reaching him, that letter reaching him, letter of acceptance reaching him, that will take time. That's okay. The letter reaching him, I can give time, no problem. But when I actually make a letter of offer and that other person accepts it, that's it. The day when I make the letter of offer letter, that's all there is to it. Gokul, from Gokul's point of view, it is he should ensure that the letter reaches this guy 16th August, and from the offerer's point of view, it should ensure that Vijay Kumar, for him 11th August is the criteria. It's a cross connection sort of a thing. So if you see here, acceptance completed as against acceptor Gokul, it is 16th August, and as against Vijay Kumar offerer, it is 11th August. 11th August, and here it is 16th August. Very, very simple. Then normal English as per the offerer, when the acceptor posts the acceptance letter, very, very simple. When the acceptor posts the acceptance letter, it goes to him. What about here, guys? What about here? From Gokul's point of view, when the acceptor should ensure that the offerer receives the letter of acceptance, normal English. The acceptor should ensure that the offerer receives the letter of acceptance, normal English. So what is legal language when it comes to the knowledge of the proposer or offerer? What is that date? 16th August. When it comes to the knowledge of the proposer or offerer, very, very simple. But here, guys, here, what is it? The legal language. When it means acceptance letter is put through a course of transmission, when it, that is acceptance letter, is put through a course of transmission by him means by acceptor. When it, that is the acceptance letter, is put through a course of transmission by him, that is acceptor, so as to be out of his power. Whose power? Out of the acceptor's power to withdraw the same. Once Gokul sends his acceptance letter, it will be difficult for him to withdraw the same. Once Gokul sends his acceptance letter, it will be difficult for him to withdraw the same. So from his point of view, which will be difficult for him to withdraw the same, that is what we need to discuss. Gokul, before it becomes difficult for him to withdraw the same, that we need to understand here. Very, very simple provision. When is the acceptance completed? Date, normal English, legal language, all that we have seen. Then as against Gokul acceptor, 16th August, all that we have seen. But guys, communication of offer is 8th. Communication of acceptance we have seen, as against offerer Vijay is 11th August. As against acceptor Gokul is 16th August. Now my question is, when the offerer has made a offer letter on 5th August and it's reaching this person on 8th August, when can offerer Vijay Kumar withdraw the offer? When can Vijay Kumar withdraw the offer? Vijay Kumar can withdraw the offer anytime before the acceptance letter is posted. So before the original acceptance letter is posted, before 11th, I can withdraw the offer. Similarly, when can Gokul revoke? Revoke means withdraw. When can Gokul revoke the acceptance? Gokul can revoke the acceptance anytime before 16th, because the original acceptance letter is posted on 11th. The original acceptance letter is posted on 11th. It reaches the person on 16th. Before 16th, if we can, take it back, then it is a good thing. But guys, to give the date wise again, communication of offer should be done when? 8th August. Communication of acceptance as against the offerer Vijay should be 11th August. As against acceptor Gokul must be 16th August. We have seen. And now we have also seen revocation. Revocation, withdrawal, when should you do? Revocation of offer, revocation of acceptance. Revocation of offer, who can revoke? Only offerer can revoke. Revocation is always done by the offerer. Who can revoke? Offerer. Acceptance, who can revoke? Acceptor only can revoke, nobody else can revoke. When can you revoke the offer? Before 11th August. Obviously, we have discussed. When can you revoke the acceptance? Before 16th August. So, in normal language, how can I say, guys, when can I revoke the offer? Offerer must revoke the offer before accept or post the original acceptance letter to the original offerer. We have already seen that. And when can the acceptance be rejected here? I mean, when can the communication of revocation of acceptance be complete? It should be done before the acceptor must revoke his acceptance before the original acceptance letter reaches the offerer. When is that date? 16th August. So, these are all the various points that we have discussed, my dear friends, with respect to revocation and all those things, communication, all that done. Next part, what we discussed is, this is the last part of the revision in this series. Then what we discussed is the concept of consideration. What is consideration? Consideration means something in return. General rule, no consideration, no contract. Very, very simple. General rule is no consideration, no contract. What are the rules of the consideration? Consideration must move at the desire of the promiser. It has to move at any point of time, the desire of the promiser. We have the case law, Durga Prasad versus Baldev. It can be done either by the promisee himself or by any other party, that also we have seen. Consideration may move from a stranger, it can also benefit a stranger. Chinnaya versus Ramaya is the case law. Guys, it's just a revision session, we will not be discussing everything in depth. Anyway, you can join our plus classes. So those of you who are in the plus class, anyway can watch this. So in this, you will get in-depth analysis of each and everything. Even though it's a fast track batch, we will not take it as a fast track batch, that's for sure. So consideration may move from a stranger, it can also benefit a stranger and all these things. Consideration may be past, consideration may be present, consideration may be future. English law does not recognize any past consideration. English law recognizes only future consideration, and it recognizes present consideration, not the past consideration as such, right? It doesn't recognize the past consideration as such. So, consideration may be past, consideration may be present, consideration may be future. English law does not recognize past consideration. Consideration may be real, must be real and not illusory. It should not be imaginary, my dear friends. It should not be a figment of my imagination. It must be real value. It is not valid if it is physically impossible, legally not permissible. It must be legal. Guys, should the consideration be adequate? Answer is no. Consideration need not be adequate at all. Consideration need not be adequate. Even if I sell at a very less amount, it's okay. Consideration need not be adequate. Then there are certain exceptions to general rule is, guys, no consideration, no contract. Very simple rule, no consideration, no contract. But there are certain things where even though there is no consideration, there is a valid contract. What are they? WB2P3C. WB2P3C. Written and registered agreement arising out of natural love and affection, standing between parties standing in near relation. So this is if two people are there, and if your father, for example, tells that he will gift you, let's say a car, gift you a vehicle if you clear CA foundation exam, and that is out of love and affection purely, and there is a written and registered agreement in this regard. There is a written and registered agreement in this regard arising purely out of natural love and affection. There is a written and registered agreement arising purely out of natural love and affection, where is clearly telling that he will definitely, what will he do? He will ensure that you will get that particular reward. So, if it is written, if it is registered, if it is arising out of natural love and affection, 100%, my dear friends, it will be taken as what? Exceptions to no consideration, no contract, and you will be paid for sure. Past voluntary service. Past voluntary service is what? If you have done any service in the past, for which of course you will not expect any payment. You have done the service in the past already. You are not expecting any payment for the same. No problem. It's a past service, voluntary service. So today, if the payment is being given to you, it is 100% valid. Promise to pay a time bar debt. The debt between two people is time barred if it is, for example, 3 years. After 3 years, what happens? The debt becomes barred unless you put in some efforts to recover the money. That is not done. It is called as a time barred debt. Very, very simple. Now, 3 years later, guys, if I come It's called a law of limitation. 3 years later, if I come and if I say that boss, I owed you some money. I know there is no relationship between us now, but I owed you some money. Please take this money. Then it is called promise to pay a time barred debt. So that is very, very important. Then completed gift. So if I gift something to you, I am a donor, you are a donee. If I am gifting something to you, for me there is no consideration, guys, but still it is a valid contract. You can enforce that contract once you have the gift deed. Similarly, bailment. Bailment is transfer of possession. So if I give my laptop to you for your safekeeping, then it is called as bailment. If I give a dress material to the tailor for stitching, if I give my two-wheeler for servicing, all these are called as bailment. In bailment, there are two people, the person who gives the bailment called bailer and the other person who calls bailee. So in a contract of bailment, what happens? The concept of no consideration, no contract will not apply. And even though I have transferred the goods to you, you should look after as if they are your own goods. That is called completed gifts. Then contract of agency and all this fine, charity and all that. Then guys, there is something called doctrine of privity of contract. In doctrine of privity of contract, the persons in the contract only can sue, outsiders cannot sue. Persons who are in the contract only can sue, outsiders can definitely not sue. Doctrine of privity of contract. Only those persons who are parties to the contract can sue and be sued upon the contract. Only those people. Third party of the entire contract cannot sue for sure. Even though the contract may be for his benefit, a third party cannot sue. However, exceptions are there. Trust or charge, we saw marriage settlement, acknowledgement of liability, assignment of contract, contract entered into through an agent and all these things. And then, my dear friends, after consideration, we went to the capacity to enter into a contract. We understood the persons who are competent to enter into a contract. We saw persons who have attained the age of majority, persons of sound mind, persons not disqualified by law, and definitely enter into a contract. Position of minor, the most important case is Mohiri Bibi versus Dharmadas Ghosh. Agreement with minor is void ab initio. Acts cannot be ratified by on attaining majority. The moment you are a major, then you cannot approve the acts which you had done when you are a minor. Not possible. There is no refund of any benefit that you have received. Even though you are falsely representing yourself to be a major, you cannot go and cancel the contract. You are bound to obviously basically a victim of the entire thing, where a minor falsely represented himself to be a major and he came. Basically his entire thing is wiped out. Nothing can be done about him. He is basically completely wiped out, in the sense a victim has unfortunately no say against a minor who cheated him under Indian Contract Act. But guys, we have discussed there is one more law called Specific Relief Act in 1963, which said that if a minor has cheated somebody, a major, by falsely representing his age, then definitely there is something that he can do. What he can do? He can go to the court, and if the money is traceable, if the minor has not run away with the money, that money can be taken back. They can ask for the benefit of restitution. And you cannot be a partner except if you are for the benefits of partnership. Partners or parents or guardians will not be liable for breach of contract by the minor. Cannot ask for specific performance of the contract, cannot be admitted insolvent also. Minor is not liable in any contract. Minor's property is liable for necessaries. The necessaries are anything essential for the suitable condition in life, food, shelter, clothing, etc. A person who is generally sound, occasionally unsound, will enter into contents of sound mind. Generally unsound, occasionally sound, whenever is of sound mind, he can do so. Lunatic, idiot, drunken or drunkard, these people cannot enter into a contract when they are of unsound mind. These are all the things that we had discussed, my dear friends. So this completes revision of offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity to contract. So guys, basically to end this session, let us also understand what are the important case laws that we have to remember. These case laws are very, very important for the examination. You need to remember the name without fail. Without fail, you have to remember. First one, Balfour versus Balfour. In Balfour versus Balfour, it was held that social obligations obviously do not result in a contract, whereas legal obligation alone would result in a contract. Whenever there is a legal obligation, that only would result in a contract. Social obligations would not result in any contract. Mr. Balfour versus Mrs. Balfour, very important case you have to remember. Second case that we need to remember is Carlyle versus Carbolic Smokeball Company Limited. Should I remember the name also while answering the questions? 100% yes, very, very important. Carlyle versus Carbolic Smokeball Company Limited. This was the case where in a general offer has to be communicated. In a specific offer has to be communicated. In a specific offer, acceptance also has to be communicated. But in a general offer, acceptance need not be communicated. Where will you communicate the acceptance if there is a general offer? So they said in this case, no need of acceptance in a general offer. Following the conditions of the offer itself is deemed to be acceptance. Following the conditions of the offer itself is deemed to be acceptance. This was second important case law, Carlyle versus Carbolic Smokeball Company Limited. Third case, Harris versus Nickerson, spoke about general offer versus invitation to offer. In a general offer, I will give an offer to the general public at large. But in an invitation to offer, my dear friends, in invitation to offer, we just give an expression of initial willingness. So in an auction sale, they said auction sale is a mere invitation to offer. Auction sale is not a general offer. This was a third important case that we saw. Fourth case is again interesting case, Bolton versus Jones. One is Bolton versus Jones, one more is Powell versus Lee. In this what they told, only an offeree can accept a specific offer. Correct? If I have made an offer, specific offer to one person, only that person can accept. Any other person cannot accept. Only offeree can accept the specific offer. Other people cannot do so. Offer is made to get what? To get the assent of the offeree. Assent means the other person should say yes. Only offeree can accept the specific offer. Offer is made to get the assent of the other person called as the offeree. And the other person has to say yes, that's why I am making the offer. Then my dear friends, fifth important case that I have to remember is Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Dutt. In this case they said acceptance should emanate from an offer. Emanate means arise from an offer. Wherever there is an offer, there has to be acceptance. So that William Anson, one fellow was there, he had told that when there is a train of gunpowder, whatever is a lighted matchstick, the lighted matchstick will have the same features of a acceptance. The moment lighted matchstick hits a train of gunpowder, there will be an explosion. So the trail of gunpowder is a train, is an offer. The lighted matchstick will be like an acceptance. So acceptance should emanate, means should arise from an offer. Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Dutt, acceptance should emanate from an offer. Next, in consideration, the important case is Durga Prasad versus Baldeo. Durga Prasad versus Baldeo. What did we see in Durga Prasad versus Baldeo? Consideration must move at the desire of the promiser. If some random person tells me to do something, that will not be called as consideration. Consideration should move if at the desire of the promiser. But consideration can benefit a stranger, it can come from a stranger. That is the next case, Chinnaya versus Ramaya. Consideration can move from a stranger and also benefit a stranger. As far as written and registered agreement arising out of love and affection, Balfour versus Balfour case only, if you add the concept of written and registered agreement, it will become Rajluki versus Bhutnath. This was written and registered agreement by parties standing in near relation to each other, but in this beautiful case, natural love and affection were not there. So my dear friends, a written and registered agreement without natural love and affection between parties standing in near relation to each other is still void. It is void for what? Want of consideration. The exception is very simple. It will not apply because the love and affection concept was missing. Love and affection were missing. This is Rajluki versus Bhutnath. Next, ninth one, Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Company versus Selfridge. Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Company versus Selfridge. So in this particular case, a stranger to a contract cannot sue. In this particular case, a stranger to a contract cannot sue. Very, very simple. There can be a stranger to a consideration, but there can never be a stranger to a contract. Stranger to a contract cannot sue. Then, however, there are exceptions to the rule of doctrine of privity of contract. That is what? Khwaja Muhammad versus Hussaini Begum. A stranger to a contract can sue if the stranger is a beneficiary and part of the marriage settlement or family arrangement. In this case, it was there. Next, we saw Mohiri Bibi versus Dharmadas Ghosh. Agreement with minor is void ab initio. Agreement with minor is void ab initio. That is the thing. Next, we saw Roberts versus Gray. In Roberts versus Gray, minor's estate is liable for necessaries. Minor's estate is liable for necessaries. Minor's dash is liable for dash. Minor's estate is liable for necessaries. But basically, minor himself will not be liable. Minor's estate will be liable. So, in terms of offer, acceptance and consideration, these are all the case laws that we need to remember along with the revision that we have done today. So guys, as I told you, without fail, please follow me on unacademy.com/Punarvas Jaikumar. If you don't know what to do, go to any of my videos and check out the link here. Punarvas Jaikumar sir's Unacademy profile. Once you click on that, it will take you here where you will see all my followers. You please follow me and you will see my special classes. Free classes. To enter the class, you just need to put the code PJ Sir Law. If you want a discount, you have to put the code PJ Sir Law. If you want this, you have to just put the code PJ Sir Law. Very, very, very simple, my dear friends. Extremely simple. And also, if you see here, any combo subscription or intermediate plus, and we have the iconic for CA Foundation and intermediate, all you need to do is just pick a plan. And once you say pick a plan, in this referral code, all you need to do is PJ Sir Law. And magic, you will get 10% off. So this is all you need to do, my dear friends. Very, very simple. Thank you so much for watching this video, my dear friends. Please, please, please subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell icon, because any important video released by me or any of the educators on this CA Foundation and Academy English channel, you will get a notification. Please like this video, share with among your friends, and also please leave your comments in the comment section. If you want to watch any special class of mine on the Unacademy platform, the code is PJ Sir Law. If you want to buy any product, the code is PJ Sir Law to get a 10% discount. Please download the Unacademy Learners app, and in the special class you can also get all the notes as well. You can download. On that note, see you until next time, my dear friends. Love you all. Bye, my CA warriors. Cheers.